Hello friends, myself Siddharth Chauhan. Welcome to Easy Medcam. So today we are going to discuss about the Parkinson's disease drug, or we can say that anti-Parkinson's anti-Parkinson's drug. Okay, so the drugs which are used to treat the Parkinson's disease, will be going through the Parkinson's disease in detail when we are discussing about the pathophysiology of the Parkinson's in the next section of the videos, upcoming sections. So in this section we will be touching only about the pharmacological aspects, so what all drugs are used, what is the first line, second line, and how we can cure the patients with the Parkinson's. So this will be the main focus of this lecture. So we'll be discussing only about the pharmacological aspects, pharmacology of Parkinson's disease. Okay, so mainly I divided these drugs into six categories. So the drugs which are used under the Parkinson's disease, I divided them into the six classes. So the first line of drug which we used is generally the levodopa, carbidopa, and the COMT inhibitors such as the tolcaptons or entacapone drugs. The combination of those drugs are used. So the first therapy is levodopa plus carbidopa plus the inhibitors such as the entacapone is used. So the combination of these are used. So the why we are using the carbidopa and entacapone we'll be discussing in this section later. So this is the first treatment of the drug, first treatment by a drug of Parkinson's disease. So the second treatment is we are giving not giving the dopamine directly, we are giving the dopamine agonist which can stimulate the receptors of the dopamine. So those are the dopamine agonist. So we are using the dopamine agonist to stimulate the dopaminergic receptors. So these are the drugs which can stimulate the dopamine receptors. And the third drug which we are using here, it is the monoamine oxidase inhibitor drugs. So we are using the MAO inhibitors. Okay, we are using MAO inhibitors. So we are using the MAO inhibitors, and the fourth treatment we are using the COMT inhibitors. Okay, so COMT are catechol O-amine methyl transferase inhibitors. So we are fourth subheading is the COMT inhibitors, and the fifth one is we are using the anticholinergic. Before anticholinergic, there is one drug which is being used here, such as the amantadine are used here. So the amantadine is used here because it can help in the synthesis of the dopamine, storage of the dopamine, release of the dopamine, and it can reduce the reuptake of the dopamine from the synaptic cleft. So this drug is used, or this drug is a holistic drug in the Parkinson's patients as well. So after discussing all these five drugs, we are using the sixth one, which is most important, or in some patients we have to give them, such as the anticholinergics. So we are giving the anticholinergics as well here. So actually when we are discussing about the Parkinson's, we should have one more clear concept about that, how the Parkinson's is caused. So the Parkinson's is caused because there is an imbalance between the two hormones. How the dopamine is reduced, we don't know actual concept about that, but anyhow in Parkinson's the dopamine level is reduced. We have to remember this. The dopamine level in Parkinson's patient is reduced. If dopamine level getting reduced, the compensatory level of the acetylcholine in the cortex or the brain or the CNS will get increased. So if this is the acetylcholine, although they previously they both are in the same concentration in the brain, but as soon as the dopamine will get reduced or its concentration will get decreased here, the as compared with the dopamine, the acetylcholine level will get increased. Anyhow, if this is the patient where the dopamine level is getting decreased, there will be symptoms which will cause due to the decrease in dopamine level, and there will be the symptoms due to the increase or compensatory increase in the level of acetylcholine as well. So there are two biomes for the patients, such as the patients where the dopamine level is reduced. So due to the decreasing level of dopamine, the patient will have the problem with the akinesia or the hypokinesia. So what does actually the akinesia and the hypokinesia means? The patient with the Parkinson's or the low level of dopamine level will have a problem to initiate a purposeful movement, and anyhow if they initiate the purposeful movement, they need a very strong willpower to stop those movements as well. So the patient in the decrease in dopamine level will have akinesia and hypokinesia. It means that a patient will have a decrease in voluntary movements in them. Okay. Anyhow, if this is the dopamine level decrease in dopamine level, the symptoms are akinesia and hypokinesia. What are the symptoms which are related to the increase in acetylcholine level? So the patient with the increase in acetylcholine level, although the acetylcholine are equal, we discuss about this, but actually when the dopamine level get decreased, acetylcholine level will get increased compared to the dopamine. Okay. So there will be the symptoms due to the increase in acetylcholine as well. So what all are the symptoms? The symptoms are such as the tremors and the rigidity. Okay, so these are the patients, two group of biome of the patient which are due to the decrease in dopamine and due to increase in acetylcholine. We too have a patient which will have a two combined effect of both of these effect, the patient which are having a decrease in dopamine and the patient in which acetylcholine is get increased. So these are the patients in which both the akinesia, hypokinesia, tremors and rigidity of the limbs and the upper and lower limbs are there. So what all are the strategy, what are the pharmacological aspect, how to treat those patients? The patient in which the dopamine level is get decreased, we will give those 5 line of drugs which we discussed here. Okay, and the patients in which acetylcholine is increased, we should give them anticholinergic to stop the activity of the cholinergic acetylcholine. Okay, so these are the anticholinergic. We'll be discussing all these drugs in the detail now. So these are the drugs which we used here. So okay, we discussed this balance between the dopamine and the acetylcholine. So the first line of drug which we are using here is levodopa. Okay, so why we are giving the levodopa, why we are not giving the dopamine directly to the patients? So the question is that first line drug is levodopa, isn't it? We are giving the levodopa to the patient. We are giving levodopa to the patient of Parkinson's. Why we are not giving the dopamine directly to the patient? The question is this. The answer is simple, that we cannot give the dopamine directly to the patient because the dopamine, first reason is dopamine is a highly polar compound. The first reason is this: the dopamine is highly polar compound. Due to its high polarity, it cannot cross the blood-brain barrier, and we cannot have a desired effect of dopamine in the Parkinson's patient. So instead of giving the dopamine directly to the patient, we used to give a dopamine agonist such as the levodopa, which is slightly fat soluble or the lipid soluble, which can cross the blood-brain barrier and can cause a desired effect in Parkinson's patients. So we cannot give the directly levodopa as well, because if we are giving the levodopa directly to the patient, we do have so many enzymes which can destroy the levodopa in the peripheral tissues, such as the MAO inhibitors. We have two types of MAO monoamine oxidase, such as the MAO monoamine oxidase A and monoamine oxidase B. The monoamine oxidase B generally are present in the CNS, but monoamine oxidase A are also present in the peripheral tissues. If anyhow we are giving the levodopa directly to the patient, the monoamine oxidase, which are the enzyme which they can destroy the levodopa into the dopamine in the peripheral tissue. So this is the main body of concern, that we cannot give the levodopa directly to the patient, because in the peripheral tissue the MAO will destroy the levodopa directly to the dopamine, and the dopamine in the peripheral tissue will cause a desired unusual effects, such as it can cause a nausea, it can cause vomiting, and as well as it can cause cardiac